All right, we're live. How's it going, everybody? Man, we only got one person in this chat today. I'm hoping more people show up, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Also, we will try to. I'll try to do one on Friday. No guarantees, because I'm going to do something with eighth grade for end of the school year. But I know for sure next Monday we will have a live stream, and Wednesday we'll have a closing live stream preparation for next year. And then Thursday some field virtual field. I don't know what I'm doing. You guys won't have homework to do or work to do um, Thursday, but Friday we will do a small fun activity that we'll grade. Um, so yay! You'll get soon enough an email either tonight or tomorrow of work everyone's missing. If you haven't finished it, please turn it in. I don't want to fail you. Because grades are due next week, sometime next week. I don't know. I think this is Friday, but it could, you're wrong. Excuse me. Could be Tuesday or, or Thursday. Field day. I have to keep missing when field day is. But I think it's next Thursday, so I'm guessing that's when grades will be due. Maybe I'm not sure. But yeah, I'll just summarize everything. For eighth and seventh grade, there isn't that much to summarize I haven't talked about before, and really we can't do that much without being in the classroom. But studying cells, I would have showed you like a couple microscopic slides about cells and stuff. We would talk a little bit about each individual part. For example, ribosomes are basically where protein is made using a couple of mechanisms. DNA is the main structure of creating these proteins. It's the code. You don't use it all. You only use most of it. I think I'm not sure if today's or future warm-ups will ask you what DNA stands for. There's you can check the book. There's a definition, the whole definition given. You'll also cover a little bit of a few more things here and there. But yeah, but I want to spend today mostly talking about fifth and sixth grade material. Fifth grade, I decided I'm not going to do the project just because it's already the end of the school year, and I prefer you guys getting ready for sixth grade, which the first thing you talk about in sixth grade will be oceans and water. So I'm going to literally just start the next chapter, and we're going to finish here. I don't know if we'll get to the end of the chapter, but we will at least do oceans, general oceans. I don't think we'll get to lakes and stuff, but yeah, we're discussing oceans now. Just know the planet is 75% body of water. You will study a little bit of the ocean floor as well. So there are a couple of videos. I think tomorrow you have Brain Pop. They'll go over the ocean floor and the ocean, like all the individual parts. Know there are many features like underwater volcanoes, like, ridges, um, abyss, like areas where it's really either the plates are breaking apart. If you remember back from plate tectonics, or there are areas where plates are not converging, they're diverging, they're being pushed apart, and in the middle you have like lava and magma coming out, forming new land. With underwater volcanoes, usually those things erupt, either frequently or infrequently, but over time, as the magma comes and cools off in the water, it creates more land, and over time, like it takes thousands of years, if not millions of years, to get a pretty much a massive piece of land coming out of the water. Takes a long time. I think Hawaii is estimated to have Hawaii didn't exist in the age of dinosaurs. It has existed like sometime right around after they died. It started forming. It takes a long, long time to create a lot of land. Um, Other things, no, there's mountain ranges that underwater that are huge, like continental slope. There's a part where in the ocean where if you were to quote unquote walk on the continent, you'll still be able to walk a little bit, but then there's a big gap straight down to the ocean floor. That's the continental shelf. That edge right around where the ocean floor just meets the continent crust, it's just straight drop. It can be up to thousands of feet deep all of a sudden. So no, that the abyssal plain is that empty, like where there's no literally nothing down the deep floor. It's really deep. It's up to like 4,500 meters deep or 15,000 feet. Um, Other things like I've already mentioned continental. Well, the continental shelf is the part that's still higher than the ocean floor. Well, the slope is that part where it starts going straight down. It's not always a straight drop. It's mostly in an angle. Also know that as deeper you go into water, the higher the pressure becomes. So your body sometimes might not be able to handle it. There's a reason why if you're a diver, you have to slowly swim back up, not and also slowly swim down because your body needs to get adjusted. And if you just swim up, your body will feel paranoid and you'll get sick and possibly die because your body does not like changing pressures. That's why we have like special machines that can handle it. But even then, the deeper you go, it's way too strong. Usually, animals like jellyfish tend to live in deep, deep water because, in like anglerfish, because they don't have that many bones to be crushed. While more heavier animals like common day carps and stuff, they live higher up in the ocean because their pressure can't handle. Also, they have special like glands, and we'll study this in eighth grade inside their bodies that allow them to raise or lower their status. And yes, they sleep floating in the water. They don't go down. They stay floating because if they went down, they would die. Also, ocean water is salty, and it's not a matter of just adding salt. It's more like these chemical compounds that, unfortunately for us, they're a little bit toxic. Too much of salt in our body is bad. But a lot of the animals have thick skins, or their bodies are just used to it, and that's the thing you want to know. Salt water makes things water denser, so that means boats can suddenly, like, let's say you have a special kind of boat that can float in the ocean, but it can't float in the lake because the salt water is more dense. So the less dense boat could float, but in fresh water where it's less dense, the boat might sink. That's why you cruise ships don't go through lakes. Cruise ships go through oceans because the ocean can handle the pressure, can handle the, you could say, density. Well, lakes can't. Also, one of the warm ups either today or tomorrow you'll have will involve um, what's it called? Um, Sunlight. Like, why can I see deep underwater? The reason why you can't see deep water is because after a while, all the sunlight that hits the ocean gets scattered to the point where, well, ocean light that barely reaches the bottom, and it's hard to see. Usually, animals need some sort of either chemical or special eyes to or senses to move around in deep water. Well, and also sunlight's the main source of usually energy for a lot of animals slash plants underwater. So usually you find them near continent shelves slash continental. What's it called? Yeah, I should look at the book word. Okay, what was I saying? The continental slope. No, the continental slope. Add that little thing right there, and it allows it to at least get some sunlight and survive. But under the ocean floor, you rarely see plant. If not, it has to be some other form of energy, and we'll talk about that in high school and eighth grade. But yeah, that's pretty much it for oceans. We'll talk a little bit about the difference. Know that there is technically seven oceans. It used to be six when I was a kid, but now there are lies. There used to be five, now there's six. Atlantic, Pacific, or sorry, lies. Again, five. Sorry, I'm thinking Pacific is two. There's Pacific, Indian, Atlantic, Arctic, and now we have Southern Ocean. The reason why we have Southern Ocean separate, like with the Pacific and Atlantic, makes sense. They're far apart, but the Arctic is touching. Like, where would you consider where's the cutoff point? Usually, the cutoff point it depends on like the chemistry of the water or the temperature. Like for example, the reason the Southern Ocean used to be part of every part of the other oceans before this got separated like 10, 20 years ago. The reason why they separated the Southern Ocean from the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian is because the water there is less dense because of its coldness, and also there's different creatures that can survive there that others can't. So they separated it. Same thing with the Arctic. Reason why the Arctic touches almost everything except the Indian Ocean and Southern, obviously. But the reason it's separate from the other two is because it's chemistry. Its chemical makeup is different, and you'll talk more about this next year in chemistry. But yeah, also Pacific Ocean is huge. Well, Pacific Ocean is shrinking. Every year, I believe it like centimeters, it shrinks by centimeters or inches, like one or two a year, while the Atlantic grows. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to ridges and a little bit about ocean floor spreading. And that's also another thing we talk about next year. But sixth grade, you guys will be doing a pH scale finally. Something I mentioned earlier. The pH scale is labeled from 1 to 4 or 1 to 14. 1 through 6 is acidic, with 1 being the strongest acid, 6 being the least acidic. Bases go from 8 to 14, with 14 being the strong base, 8 being the least, and 7 is neutral. 7 is usually water. That's a neutral like solution. Um, you need acids, and one of the warm-ups in the far future, you'll have to identify the importance of the pH scale in nature. Like, for example, one of the reasons why you need it measuring the pH, like you use something called a pH strip, and there's other tools, but the pH strip's the main one would be used in classroom, where you would take this like piece of luminous paper and dip it into the solution or whatever, and you'll try to figure out what its number is. Usually it's color coded, so it's easy. You have a little key that tells you what it is, so it's not that bad. Also, pH. Some animals can handle acidic stuff. Some can't. Same thing with the opposite. Some can handle bases. Some can't. Um, Unfortunately, you could say one of the major contributors of making more things acidic in nature is acid rain. Acid rain. Well, if you were to quote unquote stay outside like your whole life and then get acid rain on your body, you would eventually start feeling like notice a difference in your skin. It might be bleached or it might be injured. It tends to burn over time on forests. It tends to shrink their size, doesn't make them bigger anymore. And some like buildings, because of acid, the chemical compounds in acid tend to ruin it and possibly destroy like like structures. Like there used to be this statue near U of I back in Champaign that years of acid rain. Unfortunately, you can't barely make a difference. You can't make details of the mouth of the animal. It was a statue. Another thing you'll talk about will be acidic acids and bases and pH scale in your body. I mean, your blood has to be, to an extent, a little bit more basic, but neutral. Tends to be neutral. But I mean, all the foods, all the fats, acids, stuff like that you eat, um, they can range. And your stomach has to be totally an acid. It's not gonna break anything down if it's a base. But sometimes if it gets too acidic, it's bad for your body, and there's a reason why adults take Pepto-Bismol. It helps lower the acidity down so that stomachs can go back to you could say a tolerable level. Same thing with the food because right before it enters your intestines has to be the acid as much as the acid needs to be taken out of the food as possible so it doesn't burn your intestines apart. So yeah, that's one of the things with acids and bases in nature and in the human body. But hey, I'm gonna end the video here. Again, if you want to see the replay, go right ahead. Video might be canceled for Friday, not sure. I'll let you guys know tomorrow. If you see a link, that means there's will be a video on Friday, but if not, no. Well, gladly, I'm looking forward to whatever we do virtual field the next Thursday. So, with that being said, I hope you guys are enjoying the week. Stay safe, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.